Yes, I'm your host, Willard Fair, and I got a special guest with me this evening. We're going to talk once again about politics. I told you from now until Election Day, we're going to talk politics. I started out years ago trying to figure out how and why Black people are Democrats. I couldn't understand it. I don't understand today why most of us still belong to the Democratic Party. I just don't understand it. It would seem to me that if you were rational and unusually intelligent, that as a true Black person, you could not justify being a Democrat all of the time. It was the Democrats who controlled slavery. It was the Democrats, all of those white men who owned slaves, who fought and died to maintain and sustain slavery, were white Democrats. It was the Republicans who came from the North to the South to fight the white Democrats to free the Black slaves. So I don't understand why you would want to be loyal to a group of persons who are the descendants of slave owners. And then after they fought for slavery and we were emancipated, it was a Republican president that sounded very loudly and clearly the need for us to be free, not a Democrat. And then those same white Democrats who fought for slavery decided that they would secede from the Union if they could not have their way with the Negroes. But we are still loyal to the party. And then they today have said that they are for socialism. But just in case you have not woke up yet, the greatest victims of socialism is going to be us. So slavery, they were for. Secession from the Union because they believe so strongly about their position. Socialism, therefore. Yet, we are loyal to a T to be a Democrat. I thought I understood why, and I thought that there was nothing else that they could do that make me would conclude that they are absolutely insane, that they would do anything in the best interest of self, and that Black folks who belong to the party in many instances will do anything that they have to do in order to maintain their posture in the Democratic Party. So I've got a guest here this evening once again. He's been here before, but he now is having a unique experience as an elected official who happens to be a Black Democrat. Years ago, when we were moving from segregation to integration, one of the ideas that I came up with is that we need to make sure that as we move from segregation, that we integrate everything that is possible for us to integrate. So I started this leadership training seminar where I identified young people and older people and said, we're going to integrate every board, every institution in this town with Black people. They came, we went through a series of seminars, and we thought that we had prepared them to be successful. Two of my most successful graduates from the Leadership Academy is Thelma Gibson down in Coconut Grove. And my guest this evening, Representative James Bush. Representative Bush, welcome aboard.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fair. I need not say how privileged and honored and delighted I am to be here and to be a part of your show. I mean, it's like I can't express how much we appreciate you and what you do and what you have done and the success that the Urban League has certainly produced not only in this county but throughout this nation. So I feel that I have made it when I have reached this level of podcast on Mr. T. Willard Fair.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
serious.
Man, you're getting deep. You're getting deep. That's all right. That's okay.
You are one of the men, along with Dr. Ellis and Thetford Johnson.
Absolutely.
And Father Gibson.
Call the roll. Call the roll.
Commissioner Graham.
Call the roll.
Father Barry and all of the great leaders of the past who, when I was coming up in my youth days, we emulated you guys because y'all really were men who gave us, an example to follow. So, and these many years later, I'm watching you and looking at how you operate, and you still are the same in terms of the mission, the goal, and the purpose that you advocated and espoused almost 40 years ago.
57 to be exact. Been this way ever since I got in town. 57 to be exact. And I think one of the things that is the foundation of our success is that we have been consistent. 1 month we were not selling sausages, and the next month we were selling watermelons, and the next month we were selling cantaloupes. We've been consistent. We've understood that in order for us to make progress on a continuous basis, we had to have a plan of action. And you named some very powerful men that I learned from, because when I came to town, I was 24 years of age.
Wow.
And I watched them, and I was privy to carry their briefcases and just to be in the room and to take the notes and to make the telephone calls to remind other folks that the next meeting is going to be XYZ. I respected my elders.
That's what I was just
beyond a shadow of a doubt. That I was young, inexperienced, black power, afro, ready to burn down the town.
Yes, sir.
But my elder used to say, "Hold up, homeboy." I remember one time we were in a meeting with Father Gibson, and I was ready. I just got upset, and I was about to jump up and go across the table. Father Gibson. We got this. But it was that kind of calmness, that kind of experience. It wasn't that he was afraid, but he knew that behavior was inappropriate. It was not going to move us forward.
Yes, sir.
It was only going to make them have to recall and maintain their manhood. So I didn't have to be bad to prove that I was a man. I just had to be brave and selective in how I was going to exhibit the right behavior at the right time. I think that's missing. I wore this shirt today because I ran for mayor.
I remember that.
Yeah, with no illusions about winning, but simply wanted to make a statement that if you don't elect me, it won't be because I'm not intelligent. It won't be because I don't have an understanding of the issues. It won't be because I cannot articulate and elucidate on the TV cameras, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It would simply be because of the fact that you don't like me. You know what? Everybody said that I didn't have a chance. I didn't want to worry about whether or not I had a chance, but I ran because I needed a platform to redefine myself. I had been out there doing the mall, jumping up and down, and I'd been so vociferous with my anger that many folks, when they saw me, they just tuned me out. Because they said, well, there he go again with that black power stuff and so forth. So I don't want to hear nothing that Negro got to say. So I knew I needed to redefine myself so I could be heard by folks who need to hear our message. Running for elected office allowed me to do that. I knew I could not outrage Steve Clark and others who were running because they had the political connection. But I knew I was smart. I knew I could articulate. I knew that I understood the issues. I knew that I had a frame of reference that allowed me to articulate a solution. And guess what? On all of the debates, I won. And I started going up in the polls, going up in the polls.
Mm.
And Steve Clark said, we ain't debating no more. We ain't debating no more. And you know why I really didn't make the runoff? Is because the late Willie Sims was being interviewed by Channel 10. And Michael Putnam said that Willard Fair is running for the mayorship. Are you going to support him? And Willie Sims, in the posture that only Willie Sims can articulate, he said if he was running against a dog catcher, I'd vote for the dog catcher. I said, wow.
Mm.
Wow. If somebody who is supposed to be representative of my community felt that way about me and articulated it publicly, what do you think other folks who didn't know me would think about me?
Mm.
And that's why I am as angry as I can be with this Democratic Party that has decided that because of your association with those who are in charge and your understanding of the political process to the extent that you can bring something back home, that they decided that because you have a relationship with the Republicans who are in charge, they put somebody in the race to run against you. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
Is that true?
Yes, sir.
Did the Democratic Party that all these black folks going to vote for come this August 23rd, put somebody in the party because they say that you are too close to those who are in charge?
Yes.
Why did they do that? I thought we sent you up there to deliver stuff back to our community and in the process, understand how you get it done without sacrificing any principles or violating any ethical or political rules. And did you do that? Did you bring anything back home?
Oh, yes, sir.
What did you bring back home?
Well, pretty much, it's more than really over $5 million, but we brought close to about $12 million back to the.
And what did the other colored representatives bring back from the Democratic Party?
Very, very little.
What is very little? $2 or $100?
Well,
Because I couldn't find anything. But you are smarter than me, you know. I couldn't find anything. Tell me what else did they bring back?
not that much in terms of appropriation projects that were presented to the legislature this last past session.
They brought back nothing. He's still trying to be politically correct. They jumped up and down and they just assumed that we ain't gonna be able to get nothing because we Democrats and they Republicans, and you know if you're a Democrat and they Republicans, you can't get nothing. So they didn't get nothing and they got mad at you because you got something. Is that?
Yeah, I don't like giving no attention to those who my adversaries, but
when they giving attention to you,
yeah,
they put somebody in the race against you.
yeah. But like I said, that's pretty much a true assessment of what's going on right now. Yeah.
So let me be very, very clear to my viewing audience. You brought back more money than anybody of color from Dade County during this past legislative session.
Yes, sir.
That correct?
Yes, sir.
And because you were able to understand how you could work the political process without sacrificing any values or principles in getting that done, your colleagues, the party that you belong to, the slave party, the socialist party, the party that you belong to, decided that we ain't gonna learn from him. We gonna punish him.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's a true assessment.
Okay. Does your religion allow you not to condemn these folks, or you just want to be kind?
Well, like I said, it's obvious that there's a group that when we as African Americans learn how the monies are being distributed. I'm on the appropriations committee. That's one of the top committee that determines the budgets.
How you get on that?
Well, through leadership and through my years of experience and working in this process and learning how this process work, I was promoted by the leadership to be on one of the most powerful committees that you can be on in Tallahassee.
What did you learn that these other Black Democrats have not learned?
Well, first of all, when you are in this process, you cannot come in this process putting party over principles and putting party over really the agenda that you come to the legislature to espouse for your constituents. I have one of the most needed districts in the state of Florida. Probably the poorest district, which encompasses Brownsville, Liberty City, Hialeah, Overtown, Attapata, Opelika. I got all the Opelika. I used to have Miami Gardens, and I was able to get monies for Miami Gardens. We got monies for Read to Lead. That's the late doctor. You remember Dr. Bob Ingram?
Yes,
Robert Ingram.
you know I do.
And we were able to get monies for that program and other programs, but they cut doing reapportionment. They cut me out of Miami Gardens, which I was trying to save, but and I was accused of some literature just went out saying that I voted against the congressional districts, which was totally false, misleading. I voted against the congressional Black district, which that was not true. I didn't respond to it, but that was individuals who have decided with the party, the Democratic Party, allegedly,
which is run by white men.
Yeah.
Which is run by white men. So they're doing the bidding. This is called 21st century lynching, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
All right, he got the rope, and they putting it around your neck.
Yeah, that's.
I'm sorry. I guess I have to be much more kind. I'm sorry.
Well, that's a great metaphor. If you hyperbole.
No, that's not hyperbole. That's fact.
Yeah, but
see, the problem with us is that we want to be popular with Black folks who don't give a damn about Black future. And we try to say, well, they have a right to do this. They don't have a right to try to punish you because they don't like the way that you are out maneuvering them. They don't have a right to put somebody in the race against you because you figured out how you can get something no matter who's in charge without sacrificing principles. They don't have a right to suggest to the Black community that is not aware of all of the facts that you have sold out and he ain't one of us because he with them. They don't have a right to do that, and we should not be silent about that. And they should be condemned. They should be hung at the highest order, tarred and feathered to the highest degree.
Well, the unfortunate thing about it, the Democratic Party has bylaws and rules, and sitting members of the party, as well as especially of the legislative body, shouldn't be condemning or attacking their colleagues in the Democratic Party. We have city members in the party who came out and condemned, as well as made statements toward me and calling me not a real Democrat.
And the white folks done that?
No, and it's white members.
Is any white folks done that?
No, sir.
So it's the colored Democrats who are calling you not a real Democrat because you chose to show them up. Now, this is what this is all about.
That's right.
You have shown them up. They're coming back home empty-handed been up there as long as you've been up there. Some of them been up there longer than that. And you have been able to understand that you can deliver without sacrificing principles.
Yes, sir.
That you can get things done and maintain your own political integrity.
Yes, sir.
That there is a way that things get done, and that when you understand the process, when you build the relationships, when people respect you, know that your word is your bond,
yes, sir.
That they can depend on you in spite of what others might say, that you now become part of the fraternity, that folks know that you are sincere, that you're not willing to compromise on what's in the best interest of your constituency.
Yes, sir.
And that you brought stuff back home because they knew that you earned it.
And did not one time, all of the false narratives going out on literature on me about that I sold out to the governor. The governor never asked me to vote for anything. I have never had the privilege, and you don't get a privilege to sit down like you have open door to go in and meet with the governor every day. When you get a chance to meet with the governor, you better bet that you have
better maximize it.
That's right. You better maximize it, and if you got 5 minutes, you better make sure you're in there trying to make sure you're speaking on behalf of your constituents for the needs that they have in that district. You're not in there to be a buddy. You're not in there to try to, become the golf friend with him. You are there to advocate on behalf of Black folks and poor whites and Hispanics in your district. So when that project gets to his desk, when we balance the budget and the session is over, he does not veto. He has veto power, and he would not veto. It has nothing to do with you trying to be close to the governor. It has all to do with you doing negotiation and doing what is necessary and needed to make sure that your people and those 501c3s get the dollars that they need to be able to operate. I have so many 501c3s who come to me every year when the session and ask me to put their projects in. I don't deny not one of them. Well, normally, you want to have like 2 or 3 so that way you can at least know that you can at least get 2 of them, if not all 3. But sometimes I file 37 projects, knowing that all of them are not going to get funded. And I do that because I just want to make sure I give everybody an opportunity. So I got to get in there and try to negotiate, talk with members. If a chairman of a committee, whether he's a Democrat, an independent, or a Republican, this is how every member operates, Democrats and Republicans. And the Democrats go to Republicans and say, can I get your vote? Because if you don't get the vote in the committee to get your stuff passed through, it's dead at that committee. So you got to wait until next year to come back to get that project funded. But see, they have put what appears to me that there's an element in this Democratic Party or an element in this process think that all Black folks are driven by emotional stimulus. They all you got to do is get them put out falsehood, and they'll and keep saying it, and they'll get emotional.
Well, that's true. They have enough evidence.
So
they have enough evidence. I just told you that slavery was run by right Democrats. I just told you that the secession from the Union to keep slavery intact was white Democrats. I just told you that our posture in this country today is due to the convictions of white Democrats about our value. So I don't know why you can't make an argument that makes any sense that Black people should wholeheartedly, in spite of, if not because of, be Democrats.
Well, like I said, though, what appears to me is that they just feel that all they have to do is put a negative, false narrative out on anyone, whether they are effective or not, and we'll catch on to it as not only African Americans, but as Democratic members, and start believing that narrative, whether it's true or not. All of the stuff that they're putting out on me right now, Yes, sir.
That's a Democratic card.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm supposed to pick this up. I don't know nothing about none of these folks on here. But just because it says the Miami-Dade County Democratic card has Michelle Obama's picture on the front, getting black and black. All right. That I'm supposed to not be intelligent, not look at the candidates, his or her history, not look at what they have done, not evaluate what they say they're going to do. But just because Michelle Obama say vote Democrat, I'm supposed to do that. And when you get out of line, how dare you, Representative Bush, get out of line? How dare you be intelligent? How dare you be human? How dare you understand the process? How dare you expose us? That's what this is all about. It ain't about you.
No, Governor.
It's about the governor. It's about that you have demonstrated that in spite of, if not because of your color, you can get things done. And when you get things done and they get nothing done, who looks bad? So if they can't get anything done, their survival is based on how they can kill you.
Yes, sir. And
that's the reality of it.
And the unfortunate thing, for the last 40 years, I have been working, helping people in my community, a community that really needs a lot of help. I've been helping senior citizens, the youth, those that are incarcerated. We have been working day and night trying to make sure that we address their needs and their concerns. I have an open door policy. I work far and beyond hours that most representatives work, trying to make sure that these people have a voice. And for what is taking place today, and I'm not a complainer, but what is taking place today, where we have bylaws, where we have supposed to be standards and rules that you're not supposed to break, or that line of demarcation, sitting senators or of the Democratic Party are making statements about a present member of the House because there is a dislike, and so much to the point where they would come out and say, I'm going to put so much money into this race to make sure that I stop this person who has proven to have done nothing but help Black organizations, 501c3s, who give services to our seniors, services to our children. We have to have a new kind of education for members of the of our party. I'm a Democrat, but we're going to have to teach the next generation not to be driven by emotions, because that's what's going on right now. They're thinking that if they can say he's too close to the governor, he's the governor, he voted with the Republicans. It's not one Republican can come in here tonight and tell you that Representative Bush voted for issues based on the fact that they asked me to vote for it. 85% of my votes have been Democratic votes, and the other 15% has been issues that of my moral conviction. The governor never asked me to vote for anything. Not one Republican has asked me to vote for anything. But you let them when you let them tell their story, they will put in there that here's some of the things they put in there, that I'm a traitor of
voted with Republicans on the most extreme health care restrictions for women without exceptions for victims of rape, incest, or human trafficking.
And they didn't ask me to vote on that.
Stood shoulder to shoulder with Governor DeSantis as he dismantled Black congressional representation.
And that's totally false.
Voted with Republicans on efforts to undermine teachers in the classroom.
Totally false.
Voted with Republicans to strip us of our First Amendment rights and attack our right to peaceful protest injustice. James Bush III betrayed our community. We can't trust him in Tallahassee. We can't trust him to fight for us. But now James Bush III sides with Ron DeSantis. That's just betrayal. I sided with Ron DeSantis, wrote him 5 checks already. and I'm going to be with him going down. Defund me. That don't make no sense whatsoever. And for us to just be sitting around saying, well, it's all right. Black folks have a right to do what they want to do. Those Negroes ought to be punished. They ought to be tied and feathered.
See, what they have done here is they think that this is going to appeal to the emotions of black folks, saying that he's too close to the governor.
What it is, there are going to be some black folks who are going to say, man, you know he's too close to the governor. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, and the governor hasn't asked me to vote.
It ain't about the governor.
Right.
President Bush, it ain't about the governor. It's about those handkerchief head Negroes maintaining their posture in the Democratic Party. It's about them. You have outshined them. You have made them look bad. Because the question becomes, if you can do that, why aren't they doing that? If you can understand how to play the game to get things done without sacrificing principles, why can't they do that? If you can be unselfish, why must we allow them to be selfish? And we should not allow them to punish you for doing things that are right. So any black person who has any courage, who has any conviction, that does not vote for this man, they ought to be tarred and feathered and ought to become permanent life members of the Democratic Party, the party that enslaved us, the party that fought against us being free, the party now that's getting ready to replace us. Let me tell you, handkerchief head Negroes who think that this is all right. Joe Biden is getting him some new Negroes. He's letting them in by the thousands. And they're going to be beholden to him because when he finds out that James Bush is creating some other James Bushes who are understanding how the game is played. And therefore, he must get him another group of folks who are going to be dependent upon him because he let them in. You're being duped, you're being used, and you're doing the work of the white racists when you attack this man and say, we can't vote for him because he is in the pocket of the governor. The governor don't need James Bush in his pocket.
That's right.
The governor don't need James Bush.
He got the votes.
He got the votes. He gonna be reelected without the black vote. So that ain't about no governor. It's about the fact that this man has dared to do what is right. That this man, in doing what is right, has exposed those other folks. The question becomes, why didn't they bring home $5 million? How many black folks we got up there?
42 Democrats?
Yeah, 42?
About 42 now.
Okay, and multiply that times 5. How many million is that? 200 million, something like that?
Yeah.
Well, then if they was smart like you, we'd be ahead of the game. If they understood that, hey, this is a game, that we need to get as much as we can, that hopefully if he was a Democrat, we get much more. But we have an obligation and a responsibility to get something without sacrificing our principles and without delivering our people to the slaughter pen.
It's a shame. It's an outright shame for $112.1 billion. I didn't say million.
billion.
Billion dollars
$billion.
that we have to, by Florida statutes, by law, we have a fiduciary responsibility to balance a budget every year. That's the first and foremost responsibility when we go to Tallahassee. And to go there, and you got that kind of money on the table. Every other group comes there, get their share, take it back to their district. We come there, bringing groups up, raising sand about nothing, and about issues that some of them don't really understand really what the issues are. What appears to be.
They're just told to be against it.
You just be against it, and you just rally and you fight. And if you don't,
I'm gonna be black. I got it. We'll be black.
And if you don't subscribe to that,
then you don't sold out.
You don't sold out.
Yeah.
I have brought every group when we have had Amendment 4. I was the first member who spoke on that bill.
Tell my audience what Amendment 4 is.
That's giving those returned citizens an opportunity to have the right their rights restored so that they can vote. And a
Who
provision.
are the biggest victims of that? Us.
Just
Because we are the most incarcerated.
Most incarcerated.
All right.
I have visited every prison in the state. I'm on the Criminal Justice Committee now. In 1992, when I got elected, I was on the Corrections Committee. I have been visiting prisons for many, many years. Right now, I'm dealing with a lot of prison issues of constituents that live right here in Brownsville, Liberty City, Overtown, Opelika, Miami Gardens.
But you're in the governor's pocket.
But
you doing this kind of work on behalf of incarcerated Black folks?
Yes,
and we're gonna run somebody against you?
And I spend 90% of my time, and guess who I have to call when I have to get in to help individuals like this? I have to call people that's in power. And I don't care whether they're Democrats or Republican. If they are in power, all I'm trying to do is make sure I make contact so I can get help for those constituents in my district.
Without selling your soul.
Right. And so people got to understand that this emotional train that has been on the track for so many years. And see, another thing, we get people who gets paid during elections time. They call them political consultants.
Oh.
So they get paid to go and run down absentee ballots.
You got Black folks who do that?
All across the spectrum.
No, I ain't talking about all across the spectrum. I'm talking about Black. We got Black folks who do that?
So they get
I know. We got Black folks who do that. I know you don't want to say that, but we got Black folks who do that. We got Black folks who have been selling us out ever since we left the slave plantation. And now they just wear three-piece suits and they have afros, but they still are for themselves and not for us.
And the biggest tragedy is that when you have people that can go and take advantage of senior citizens in these senior citizen towers, getting absentee ballots, and getting what allegedly been that they get paid
ballot policy.
Yeah, and get paid to do that, taking advantage of senior citizens. And when you speak out against this, then you become anti. But as long as I am, and God allowed me to be a representative, I'm going to speak out against this. I am going to speak out against issues that they said that I voted for because the governor and the Republicans, which that never been the case. You're not going to have access to our children from K through third grade, teaching them, which is not age appropriate, teaching them all kinds of
critical race theory stuff,
gender identities, whether or not they are comfortable in their gender, whether they're comfortable being a boy or girl. You're not going to have access to our children. That is just that's out of the question. So if that makes me anti, because I am taking a position that I want to protect the children, then you have to just make me anti. So this is one of the, and then they'll put it on the fact, oh, he followed the government. No, it has to do with I am a father. I am a grandfather. I have grandchildren. And I don't want to be one that is a contributor to this kind of miseducation. I am going to also support groups that receive step-up scholarships. Why? Because there's many.
You're gonna destroy public education. You use a teacher and stuff like that.
It's nowhere. You can't show me nowhere in the contract. And I was a building steward for United Teachers a Day, and I was a teacher for 30 years. You can't show me nowhere in the contract when that negotiating body between the Dade County Public Schools and the UTD, once they solidify that contract and give a teacher a contract for that fiscal year or that school year, I don't care what goes on in the legislative process, that contract cannot be violated. So for students to receive a step-up scholarship has nothing to do with that teacher's annual contract. And that's the misinformation that's been going out. And when you speak against it, then you become now anti-teacher, which is far from the truth. So I want to make sure that it's understood that we have churches. If I start naming them, we have Mark Coates down south. He has kids that are benefiting from the step-up scholarship. C.E. Glover in Broward County benefit. Bishop Victor T. Curry, Newburgh, they benefit. Pastor Kenneth Duke, his school. These are pastors and churches that have schools that are benefiting from these scholarships, and the kids are doing great. They're learning how to read. They're doing meeting all of the requirements. So you don't mean to tell me that parents cannot take advantage of millions of dollars that come from the state?
That's from Republicans now. That's how you can't take advantage of it, because a dollar that comes from a Republican dollar is not a good dollar.
I went to the store the other day, and they didn't ask me when I gave them my money.
Well, they didn't ask you about
They didn't ask me.
Did you get it from DeSantis or?
No, they did not ask me. They said, "Is that a Democratic dollar or a Republican dollar?" That they won't ask me.
They don't ask you that.
They didn't ask me what governor signed that. So that dollar spends is good whether it's a Democrat or Republican. The point I'm trying to make is the moment you start helping Black children that needs the help, and you start now going against the grain, and you understand, because I taught for 30 years. And I made it very clear, there are some students that in these schools don't fit in this setting. And for those that don't fit in the setting, we have to prescribe and find a way that we can put them in a place so that their needs can be met. And in some cases, we are getting the kind of results from some of these kids because we're getting reports that they're doing good, not only in the schools, but when they go off to college and graduate, they're doing well. So to say that it's just one size fit all in this day and age is not going to sell, not in the legislative body that I have served in going on 15 years.
Well, help me and my viewers understand that a person like you, who against all odds is getting things done, a person like you, who against all odds has a track record of getting things done. A person like you understands how to get things done without compromising your principles and values, still remaining true to your convictions, getting things done. A person who is not concerned about Democrat versus Republican or independent, but getting things done
for Black folks,
for your constituency. Why is it that they don't want you to continue to do that? It seems to me it's because you are exposing them. It seems to me that if you are able to do this in spite of all of the circumstances that we know exist, and they're not able to do anything at all, the easy way out is to say you the bad guy. And if I make them focus on you, they won't see that I ain't doing nothing. I just say he the bad guy. Now if they say, well, I was going to get $50 million for y'all, but he came in and worked out a deal with the governor, and he got it, then I'd be upset. I would be upset if they said we had a caucus, and we all agreed that it was in the best interest of Black Floridians that we were going to do this, and that old Bush wouldn't tell the governor, and they blocked us. But I have not heard any of that.
Never done it.
I've not heard that you've been disloyal to the party.
No, sir.
I've not heard that your word was not your bond. No, sir. I've never heard that you manipulated the process selfishly. So all I've heard is that they don't like the fact that you exposed them. And since they don't like being exposed, the best thing to do is to kill the goose that laid the golden egg. We should not allow that to happen.
It's amazing that, allegedly that a senator who's not even from our district can go and get a young person who's never served in any capacity. And this don't happen twice. I ran 4 years ago, and it happened. I know more than what they know I know. I think that I don't know. And this time, you go get a young person who's never done anything. All they needed was a body. Because when I saw who's behind this, the Planned Parenthood.
You're talking in real now. What's going on? They put somebody in your race.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
We don't need to call her name, but she's in your race. All right. And it's not that she wanted to be a representative, but she just wanted to be involved. She knows nothing about politics, has no history of being concerned about politics, and all of a sudden, she can be drafted
and get all this money
to run against you, and you got all this money for our constituency, and the only reason why she's running against you is because you are with the governor and black folks who say they're concerned about black folks are going to allow this to happen? That's insanity. And any black Democrat who cares about the future of black people ought to be outraged. And they ought to take this lady who has allowed herself to become a prostitute and hang her by her heels until everything that is false falls out. And that would be her whole body. Because she's not committed. She's been used. Which says to me that if she will allow herself to be used by others who are trying to destroy our goodness in this person, then she'll do anything. And anybody who endorses her is unabatedly anti-progress for black folks. So I'm going to be watching y'all as y'all go to the polls. I'm going to be calling you out. There is no better candidate in my lifetime than James Bush. He has delivered beyond everybody's expectations. He has delivered in good times and in bad times. He understands some of the lessons that we taught at the leadership caucus.
Yes, sir.
That you have a responsibility to deliver
That's what you told us.
without compromising any principles or values. That you may be part of a party, but you cannot take a hiatus when your party is not empowered, which means that you must govern yourself so that you're always attractive and that you must be willing to make the adjustments when the party is not in power. The misery is still there. So my representative has understood that it ain't about party affiliation. It's about access. That if you don't have access, I don't care what party you belong to. And when you are a man of your word, when they know they can take your word to the bank, when they know that you're not going to say one thing in the room and then get with a bunch of handkerchief head Negroes and start talking about black power this and black power that, and I'm anti this and I'm anti that. When they know that you are a person of your convictions, then they will embrace you with respect. He delivers not because of his party affiliation. He delivers not because he may acquiesce to the Republican Party. He delivers because of his character. They know in good times and bad times, he's going to make decisions that are in the best interest of his constituency. He doesn't make decisions that promotes and lifts up James Bush. He works hard. His constituents don't just see him during election time. They see him year round. And anybody who will sit back and allow these handkerchief head Negroes to decide that because they don't like the way he is doing things, what they really don't like is that he is exposing them. What they really don't like is that he is saying that it can be done in spite of circumstances. That if you do your homework, take time to develop relationships, then you can get things done. A Democratic Party that would put a person in a race to run against this man ought to be tarred and feathered. And any person or persons who decide to support this farce ought to be tarred and feathered. I can't vote for him. I ain't in his district, but I can write a check. And those who are not in his district, write a check. Make sure that you support James Bush. I know I'm not supposed to be doing this kind of policy and politics on my podcast, but that's why it's my podcast. You can't cancel me because you didn't pay for his production. You can't cancel me because I'm not doing any policy and politics. I'm not jeopardizing my 501(c)(3) status with IRS. I'm simply speaking the truth about what should happen and what we should do when it is not being done appropriately. We cannot allow this Democratic Party, through its handkerchief head Negroes, to keep saying that we can do anything we want to do to any of y'all, and y'all ain't gonna do nothing because y'all just divided by who's in charge. James Bush deserves better. He has delivered unbiasedly. He has made the sacrifice to build the relationships of trust with those who make the decisions. Ain't nothing to do with him being black. Has everything to do with the content of his character, not the color of his skin. And he's been able to develop those relationships across party lines. Not because he is a Democrat who is black, but because he's a man that keeps his word, that you can take it to the bank and bank it. If he says that I'm going to vote with you, he's going to vote with you. If he says that I can't vote with you, he will tell you I can't vote with you and will not vote with you. You cannot buy him. There's no amount of money that you can give him. You cannot buy him. If that was the case, he would have been bought a long time ago. But he has courage. And he is not afraid to demonstrate that courage, knowing that those who are against him will use that demonstration against him. So please, as we prepare to go to the polls, make sure that you tell your neighbors, to tell their neighbors, to tell their neighbors that as far as we're concerned, there ain't but one race that we're concerned about. It's the one that my representative is in.
Thank you, Mr. Fair. I just, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity, and it's been my position over the years that I don't answer to my critics. Vernon Jordan has a book called Vernon Can Read.
Yes.
And in that book, Vernon has a.
Now, who's Vernon Jordan? Now, a lot of folks know who Vernon Jordan is.
Now, he's passed on now, but he has been one of the greatest minds as one of the past presidents of the Urban League.
National
Urban League.
Yes, sir.
He's consulted many presidents. One, I think, Bill Clinton.
Him and Bill Clinton were like this.
Yes,
you could walk into the White House and walk right past security, and they would stop.
That's right. And one of the greatest minds that you could ever just watch.
He had a great political mind. He understood.
And he got things done. He was able to talk to the president. When you have people.
Bill Clinton did his eulogy. Did you know that? Bill Clinton did his eulogy. That was the substance of that relationship.
And I want members to know, especially the black community, because the party believes that all of us are driven by emotion. Yeah. And whatever they put out there. Now, all of the lies that they have, if I would, as a senator, as a representative, like the senator who has led the charge to do this, if I did this over in, let's say the Hispanic neighborhood or another neighborhood, against one of their members, they will run me.
You'd be tarred and feathered.
You'd be tarred. They would run me out of town.
Out of town.
Because,
throw rocks at your children.
Because of disrespect.
That's correct.
And when you have a young person who, it'll be like me disrespecting you and those of you who helped to raise me in terms of teaching us how to conduct ourselves politically, socially, in the community. It'd be like me doing that to a person like you or someone of your stature. So we have to teach these young people, when you come into this process, don't allow people who want you to fight their fight to be used in a way to be disrespectful. First of all, learn some respect. I respect those whose shoulders I stand on today. So it's obvious that somewhere down the line that we have missed the mark in terms of teaching that. Matter of fact, some of the young people just don't want to listen. They think they have it all together and really have not had the experiences to understand what is ahead of them.
We'll see them in prison or in the welfare.
Yeah, so therefore, I want the public to know that the mail outs and all of that stuff they have been putting out there have been totally false, and they are lies to the highest degree. about me voting against congressional black districts, which is a total lie. Which me voting with the Republicans told me to vote. I have not had one Republican have asked me to do anything and to vote. I have not voted with the Republicans. The governor have never asked me to vote for not one issue. But when you let
they
them,
don't need your vote.
They already got enough.
They got enough. They're in charge. So why would they ask you to vote for something?
So to put this kind of stuff out, this false narrative out, that he has driven me to do this. I don't know. This is my first time really addressing this kind of stuff. It's false, and I want the people to know that it's false, and it's a shame before God that they can use one of our young person who's was even a baby when I was out 30 years in the district. She was just coming out of diapers, a kid,
and now she goes.
And not even old enough, not even older than my baby son who is 40, and my oldest is 42.
And she's been used
and being used by a senator, or what I say, a couple of senators who has a beef to pick, and so that now all they need is a body to get up. To get out and just send out narratives that is totally false. So they need to bring their evidence and give it. They
don't need no evidence with colored folks. They just need to make the accusation. We don't no evidence.
Just make the accusation.
Just make the accusation. Oh, you know that nigga done sold out.
Yeah,
with them Republicans.
And it's totally
you don't
false.
need no evidence. Oh, need no evidence. Did I say that?
So I want them to know. As a matter of fact, I wish I could have the privilege to go in and see the governor so I can get my projects. I get more projects, but you let them tell it.
Well, I got a note from I tell them that you want to come in to see it.
Hey, let them tell it, man. I'm hanging out with the man, but I just wanted the people to know that all these mail outs, and I don't normally respond to this, and I thank you for bringing me on, but these are false narratives. It's a disrespect to my community. I have so many seniors right now that I'm dealing with. The rent's being raised. I got one lady who is 87 years old. I was at her house the other day. Raised her rent $100. $1,000. We have seniors on fixed income that have tarps on their roofs. We have roof problems. We have mold.
This ain't about whether or not you're not doing stuff at all.
Right.
It's about those folks who say that because you're doing stuff, you are exposing them. I want to thank you very much for being with me. You can come back every Monday until the election is over. Sitting right here, I'll be waiting on you. Thank you very much. For what we've said is the Democrats are at it again. It ain't the white Democrats, it's the colored Democrats. And those of us who will sit back silently and allow this to happen to Representative Bush ought to be tarred and feathered, or you really belong to the Democratic Party. Y'all be good. See you next week. Thank you, Representative Bush, once again.
Thank you, sir.
About most of our lives, but we've made it still standing 'cause they can't destroy what's inside. Black people keep going.